Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Unleashing Brilliance. Now, over the last few weeks, I've been speaking to many audiences about the power of building a transformational network. And one of the strategies I've shared during those keynotes has had such a significant shift for so many people that I thought I'd share it with you on my podcast this week. Today, I want to share with you the 3 letters that will change everything for you when it comes to networking. These 3 letters will ensure that you play in the top 1% of networkers, that you stand out from the crowd, and that you become known as someone who is interested and interesting. And most of all, that you are remembered amongst the masses. Now, a couple of years ago, my eldest son Flynn went for his first job after finishing school. And after his interview, he came home and I asked him how he went. And then I said, okay, Flynn, now it's time to be the 1%. To which, as you can imagine, any teenage son does, he rolled his eyes at me and said, seriously, Mom, can you stop coaching me? God, you got to laugh at that, don't you? But anyway, he did do it. He followed through on this 1% strategy. What he did is he sent a text message thanking the interviewer for spending the time with him and answering all his questions. He then asked if there was anything else that he needed from him. And he then went on to inquire as to what was going to happen next, finishing up with, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Within 24 hours, Flynn was offered the job, and he was actually the youngest ever to be hired. Now, I don't doubt that he did a great job in his interview, but I do believe it's what he did afterwards that gave him the advantage. And this is what I call my thank you for strategy. This simple framework uses 3 extra letters, F, O, and R, to become one extra word that turns a transactional thank you or thanks into an intentional and thoughtful thank you for. It helped Flynn secure his first job. And I've seen this strategy, this thank you for strategy, build and bloom amazing client relationships. It's helped dream jobs be achieved, new business opportunities secured, and powerful networks built using this framework. Now, I've shared this framework with thousands over the last decade, from conference stages around the world to being in the front of room at small workshops to large workshops. And every single time I've done those keynotes or been in front of the room, I've actually invited people to try it. I've said to people, do the 1% strategy, do the thank you for strategy. It's simple. Send me a text or an email that says, hey, Janine, thank you for the time you spent with us yesterday. I loved hearing about your strategies to build networks strategically. Please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And I'll make sure to keep in touch and let you know how I go with this strategy in terms of building the network of me for my success. I ask and I invite everybody to follow through on that strategy. And yet, very few of the audience follow through. And this is why I call it my 1% strategy. Because those that take the time to say thank you for and who follow the 3-step framework that I'm about to share with you, those are the people that I remember. Those are the people that I continue to support. And those are the people that I keep connected with and who over the years I've continued to support as they've built their careers. You see, I believe that a simple thank you or thanks is no longer enough. It's transactional and it's expected. It's what we say to each other in passing with no real thought. It's what we say to the barista after we've beautifully been served our morning coffee. It's what we say to Uber drivers when they drop us off at our destination. We say thanks, thank you. There's no real passing on of anything apart from obviously the beautiful human etiquette of saying thank you. There's no real thought. There's no acknowledgement of impression or impact that interaction or that person has made. It's just a simple thanks. And I believe that thank you or thanks is no longer enough. On the other hand, thank you for requires a little bit more effort. It is intentional, it's unexpected, And it is the very thing that becomes memorable, and it's the very thing that helps you stand out from the crowd. Thank you for shows an appreciation for any connection and any information shared or the conversation had. It shows a respect and a gratitude for the time you spent together. Thank you for forces you to get present. It forces you to think about and get curious about the impact that person or that interaction or that meeting has had on you. Thank you for is about value exchange. It shares with other people how they and that moment matter. So here's how I want to share with you now this 3-step thank you for, or TAD framework, as I call it. I want to share with you this framework. And I really encourage you to give it a go. Give it a go today. Give it a go this week. So the 3-step TAD framework is this. Step number 1, T, stands for thank you for. After every meeting, every work connection, or every single networking event, think of the people that you have interacted with and think about one way that something they said, their work, or just their presence impacted you. And I want you to take this reason and put it into the sentence, thank you for ... The important part about this step is being genuine. Nobody appreciates a fake compliment, but I want you to think about how that moment, how that person mattered. For example, it could be, thank you for the feedback on my proposal. It could be, thank you for taking the time to share with me your thoughts about. It could be, thank you for inviting me to this meeting. I really appreciated you sharing more about your company and the challenges you're facing. It could be, thank you for taking the time to take my call today and answering the questions I had on. It could be, thank you for the dinner conversation about. It could be, thank you for the conversation about blah at the blah event. I really appreciated your insight. It's intentionality. It's a value exchange. It is about giving back to that other person an appreciation for the time that they spent with you. So that's step number 1, the T, thank you for. Now, step number 2, A, stands for ask. This is where I want you to go after you've done your thank you for. You introduce the A, ask, and it is simple as, is there anything I can do for you? Is there any more information you need from me right now? Is there anything more I can do? Every single person, every single one of you listening or watching this podcast has something to give. And this offer in the question is the value exchange. It's the very thing that deepens step 1. Now, when I share this, a lot of people push back and they say, oh, but I've got nothing to share. I go, yes, you have. They worry about, oh gosh, what if I can't help? Let me tell you that the recipient may or may not even take you up on this offer. But by making the offer of, is there anything I can do for you, of making the offer of the ask, it gives time for the recipient to pause and to think. That is once again reinforcing the value exchange. In the years that I've taught this strategy, I have never once personally been asked for anything that I cannot help the other person with. I really encourage you to get out of your own way, to quit worrying about asking this question, and instead be present with serving the person that is the recipient of this. So step number 1 is T, thank you for. Get present and think about what you want to thank the other person for. Step number 2, A, is ask. Don't overthink this. Just simply go, is there anything more I can do for you? Is there any more information you need from me? Is there anything else I can help you with? Just ask that one sentence. The A stands for ask. Now we've got 3 parts of this framework. We've got the T, thank you for. The A is the ask. The final one is how we actually nurture, cultivate, and build our relationship, build our network. The third part of this framework is D, and it stands for doing something. This is where Flynn said, Please let me know what the next steps are. I look forward to hearing from you. You've got to do something. You've got to take control of this conversation. So commit to the next step and do something. It could be offering to catch up again over coffee, and you might suggest a time. It could be that you're going to book in a meeting to discuss a potential collaboration. It could be that you're going to book a meeting to update them on the action that you've taken on the back of the feedback they've given you. It could be that you're going to forward some information to them that you promised. It could simply be a commitment to connect again in 2 weeks' time to update them on any progress you've made. You've been intentional about connecting, and now it's your turn to turn that intention into action. And it's really as simple as that. The TAD framework. Thank you for step number 1. A, ask, is there anything I can do for you? And then D, do something. Now, why does this very simple framework work? Here's why. Because it shows that you were present enough in that moment to take notice, to remember who they are, that you were interested in them and what they do or what they had to say, and that you are committed enough to follow through. This is intentionality. You can't bulk send the same message to everyone because this message has been specifically personalized to them and the impact they've had on you. It helps you be memorable, and it can drastically shake up your network for the better. You know, I recently presented at a workshop to a team of leaders, of upcoming leaders. I was sharing the strategy of networking, and I was sharing this particular strategy. The next day, I rang my contact for some feedback, and they said that the leadership team, the C-suite, had actually contacted them to ask what had happened during the workshop because they had never received so much fabulous feedback. They'd never received so many requests for further information, and they'd never received so many thank yous for the impact that they'd had on their team. They couldn't believe how in the space of one workshop, engagement, communication levels, collaboration levels, gratitude levels had actually increased in that organization on the back of this one strategy, the TAD framework, the thank you for strategy. So I really invite you to give it a try this week and see what difference it makes. And I'd love you to share that with me. I want to hear what difference it makes. And by the way, I want to invite all of you listening to this, why not try it with me? Try the thank you for strategy with me. Send me an email, send me a message with thank you for, ask, and the D, the do something. Give it a go. Because here's the thing. If it can land my teenage son Flynn his first job, it can absolutely help you build a network for you that inspires you, that motivates you, and that drives you to achieve your goals. Now, by the way, I'll let you in on another little secret. If you want to go one step further, here's what I do. I allocate 1 hour a week in my calendar, and it is called my RAK hour, my RAK hour. This stands for Random Act of Kindness hour. And what I do in that hour every single week is I think about the people I've met that prior week. I reflect on the conversations I've had. I reflect on the messages I might have received. I reflect on the commitments that I may have made. And I use that 1 hour, that RAK hour, to follow the 3-step TAD framework, thank you, ask for, do something framework that I've shared with you today. So why not start allocating an RAK hour in your calendar every single week from this week? And think about this week, the word for, the 3 letters FO4, and give a thank you for this week to the people that come into your world that have had an impact on you, and give it a go. Try it and see what difference it makes. I look forward to hearing from you, and I will catch up with you again next week.